Hi, Soul Being absolutely beautiful every time. This is your host, Sri Venus on the Mothership. So, I wanted to share a couple of tips that helped me come out of the darkest experience of life. 7 years ago, I awakened to Dark Night of the Soul. You can think of the worst depression one person could have. Um, I was in hell. And because of this experience, I don't believe hell is something that you experience after you die. I believe hell is a state of mind. And I would wake up, my mind was crazy. My monkey voice was crazy. I had voices all over, coming from left, right, and center. The voices were even louder than my own internal voice. It was hell, and I felt so isolated. I felt like this was it. I felt crazy, and I felt so disconnected from life. I felt disconnected from my goals. It was the last thing I wanted to think about. It was the last thing um, I believed was possible for me because everything that was going wrong was so evident. Everything, all the negative stuff was so evident. They were more obvious than the good things that were happening in my life. And I had no motivation um, to come out of this because my mind, my energy was just going into the stories my monkey voice was creating. And it is until I told myself that if I can help other people get out of this, I'm not gonna I'm gonna keep on. I'm not gonna give up, right? And this is how actually the Mental Alchemy Academy, i.e. the mothership, was created. It was because I made this my mission, my purpose. And my mission, my purpose was the reason why I got out of the darkness. I got out of hell. I made it all about other people. I found purpose in the suffering. So this is the first tip, is to actually find purpose, a reason why you're living. Because if you don't have purpose, if you don't have a reason for your life, you don't have meaning for your life, you're going to create life that's just shallow, that's just connected to your ego. But your soul needs depth, your soul needs um, more than what meets the eye. Your soul wants to feel connected to the greater good because all we are is love. Our essence is love. Yeah, we can have all these material stuff just to have fun and to enjoy whilst we're on earth. But the bigger picture is that we all want the best for each other, right? Even though our ego might want to create competition to feel a certain way so that we feel better about ourselves, so we can feel greater than somebody else. But that's just the ego mind, the lower mind that just want to keep us, it keeps our potential very low. Because when we think just about ourselves, when we think just about our own success, it's it's not self-sustaining, right? And that's why you hear people on deathbeds talking about how they wished they'd lived more in alignment with their soul. They lived more their true potential because that's connected to your soul. And usually your soul doesn't care about how it looks on the external, doesn't care about what it has, because it knows it's limitless. So when you're disconnected from your limitless nature, it's because you are over identifying with your ego. You believe everything that your mind is telling you. You believe all your external circumstances, and you take it as law. You take it as if this is all that you are. And when you believe and you take that in and take it as your own identity, as you take it and you take it um, as the only truth, that's what actually creates suffering. That's what actually imprisons you in your mind. So you want to be a conscious creator, not a passive creator. A passive creator, you just take in information and say, this is what's up. This is what my life is always going to be like. No, you want to be a conscious creator, because a conscious creator, you work with what is. You use the information that your mind and your external circumstances are reflecting back within you, and you actually take the action steps that are actually going to transform yourself so that you actually see differently the same things, right? I talk a lot in my academy about how right now, when you're noticing your problems, what's missing is because you're perceiving the circumstances where you are through your lower mind, and you want to train yourself to connect to your higher mind, right? It's a muscle. It's not something that necessarily we're born with unless you're very lucky, right? And when you're connecting with your desires, right, the things that you really want, you want on a daily basis, this is what actually helps you to evolve, to actually be challenged. When you're not challenged by life, life is boring. You're not growing through your fullest potential. So it's when you make challenges wrong, when you make challenges um, as if challenges are set up to make you lose, when you're misusing your mind against these challenges, it's when you actually work against yourself. So you want to see every negative thing as an opportunity to actually understand yourself and actually to grow, and to not um, make it part of your failure story or victim story, because your lower mind loves to focus on everything that's going wrong, on how other people are not showing up for you, on what's missing, on just to keep yourself feeling sorry for yourself, to keep yourself drowning in this, in these emotions of feeling like, man, like I'll never get out, like, and replaying all these stories of something that somebody did to you, and you're drowning in that feeling, right? It becomes almost like a kink where you're like, man, like I love, um you love, of course you don't consciously love it, but I mean your subconscious, that's what it's believing, like I love um not being treated well. Because if you didn't love being treated well, why would you be available for this treatment, even in your own private mind, right? So you want to come back within. It's never about other people. It's never personal. We are all living in our own reality, and we are always perceiving the same reality differently based on our own programming. So this is the other tip. I lost count of how many tips I shared. And feel free to write them down also. I lost my train of thought. Yes. So you want to take responsibility for your own programming, and also give other people the grace to leave from their own programming. So we leave, especially on social media, you see this, right? When we're navigating the world from our ego, right? It's all about I am right. It's all about me, 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 me. It's all about everybody needs to see the world through this lens, because this is the only way, right? We see it in religions, we see it in politics. All this consciousness, all this ego consciousness, what it does, it separates, it creates separation, it creates division. This is why we have wars. This is why we have diseases, right? It's because we create fractions, we create separation from the greater whole. And when you do that, how it looks within yourself, it's when you start rejecting yourself. It looks like when you reject your humanness. It looks like rejecting your parents, how you grew up, because it doesn't match up to society's ideals. So you want to reconnect to your true self, because when you come back to your true self and actually love yourself unconditionally, that's when all of that transforms, all that suffering transforms, and you connect to your high heart, which is connecting to your sense of purpose, to your sense of belonging, to your sense of um, self confidence, because you're not trying to live an idea of yourself. You're actually living the reality of you. But you're not living from a place of like, oh my gosh, man, there's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. It's coming from a place of like, F what the society thinks about me. I love me. I appreciate me. I celebrate me. And when you do that, you start attracting people who actually see the same within you. But you have to go there first. You have to choose you first. You have to do the inner work where you're pulling out stories that were never true, stories that were projected on you by society, by your parents' woundings, by society, by your teachers' woundings, by your friends' woundings, by strangers' woundings online, right? Online, we're always like projecting our egos onto each other, because we just believe that I have my perception is the only right one. No, honey, all our perceptions matter, because there's a story behind all those perceptions. So it's when you really connect to all parts within you that are alive, and you're really honest with, oh, okay, I'm speaking from my wound. Oh, I'm speaking from my ego. Oh, I'm speaking from my soul. When you bring awareness to where you're creating your life from, then you become a powerful creator. Then you start making life more yummier, um, more in alignment with joy, with happiness, with you start thriving because you're consciously choosing where you're creating your life from, and you're aware of like the consequences um, of creating from your wounding, what that will create for you and what that will create for others, right? Um, and this is what I help you with on the Mothership Mental Alchemy Academy. I help you become a conscious creator and actually create a safe haven for yourself, and actually to live in synchronicity with your limitless self. Your limitless self is your soul. Your soul is where is your God essence, right? If you've been in the spiritual community for a while, you know how we talk about connecting to your God consciousness. A lot of people are connected from God, and it triggers a lot of people when you say that I am God, I'm a goddess, I'm a God, right? Because you're a child of God, right? So if you're not a God, you're not a child of God. You're believing that your being is separate from God, which is not true. That's why you feel limited. That's why you feel hopeless. That's why you feel so scared of death, because you don't believe there's a part of you that lives on forever, which is what actually motivates you to keep going, which gives you purpose. Because now you're like, I wonder why I incarnated as this version of me. Why did I incarnate as through Venus? Why did I incarnate through this programming? What did I come here to learn? You start asking the right questions. You start connecting it to the bigger picture, and you start living um, for you, for your higher self. You start connecting to your higher self, because your higher self is a deity, right? We always think of um we always pray to other deities, and we create gods outside of ourselves. But when you connect to God within you, God is your breath. God is within each and every of your cell. Once you come from that consciousness, you know that, oh, I'm just experiencing these circumstances. I wonder what I'm learning. I wonder how my higher self perceives these current circumstances. I wonder how I'm going to transmute this, and how what I'm going to create out of this. That's how you start living from power and not from being a victim, right? So this is why I created my new course of action. I just made my page live a few minutes ago, Miracle Activator. So it's coming from my own experience of feeling very limited, feeling very disconnected from my limitless self, from God. It was because I created separation through my mind. I created separation through my perception of reality and my perception of myself, through having low boundaries um, with my energy. Right? I call these your soul's boundaries, because your soul perceives reality a specific way. Your soul uh, creates a specific way differently from your human, because your human is limited, but your soul is limitless. But it's when your human and your soul are in conflict, this is where you create mental disease. This is where you create chaos and confusion. But we want to harmonize this relationship between your soul and your human, because once you harmonize it, how your soul navigates reality, right? It allows you to transcend circumstances that normally you wouldn't be able to if you're disconnected from your soul, if you're disconnected from your God consciousness, right? So this is what I'll be helping you with, to elevate your consciousness from a victim to from a limited perspective, limited embodiment, to a limitless embodiment. And you will notice that once you elevate to this consciousness, you start attracting different um, people into your life. You start attracting different things on your YouTube, because now you're open to this consciousness. You are now connecting to more people who are in the God consciousness, people who are more empowered, people who are creating their own reality and not being passive creators. And if this resonates with you, You can find more information below. You can also join our free group, um, and the link is below. But I hope this helps you. You're not your mind, right? You're not your emotions. Really remember this. Your being is just you're in this meat suit, but you're not the meat suit. Because when we over identify with the meat suit, that's where the suffering happens. That's when you believe, like, oh, I have this disease and that's all I am. I have this disease and that's who I'm always going to be. And that's what's creating the disease, because your soul's like, no, honey, you're more than this. This is you're keeping me in a box, and I'm more than this. I'm limitless. This is not all I am, right? So that disease, that struggle, that's stress, is because you're limiting your energy, and your energy wants to keep flowing. Once it keeps flowing limitlessly, right? And it's when you limit it and you keep it in a small container, this is what makes you like feel like, I'm not myself, I'm not my best self, because you're not using your body correctly. You're not using your bodies correctly. We're going to be talking about the four bodies that are actually active within you. You've got your external body, your physical body, you've got your mental body, you've got your emotional body, you've got your spiritual body. We're going to be talking all about how they interconnect to create your reality, how they interconnect to create your current perception of yourself, of your external reality. But yeah, well, I hope this helps. Otherwise, see you on the other side.